we're diving straight into the dramatic and tragic conclusion of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. This isn't just about a final battle for Rome. It's a gripping story of honor, a fatal miscommunication, and a sense of fate that just seems inescapable. So get this. The victor, Mark Antony, looks at his fallen enemy Brutus and says, that. But hang on a second. How did the man who assassinated Caesar end up earning such incredible praise from his biggest rival? Well, to understand that, we've got to go to the battlefield. Okay, so picture this, the plains of Philippi. The tension is just electric. On one side, you have the armies of Mark Antony and the young up-and-coming Octavius Caesar. Facing them are the forces of the conspirators, Brutus and Cassius. I mean, the entire future of Rome is riding on what happens next.
Before the sword starts swinging, the four leaders meet for what's called a parley. Now, if you're thinking they're trying to negotiate a peaceful solution, think again. Nope. This is basically a final, bitter confrontation, a storm of insults and accusations.
And man, the attacks get personal. And they get personal fast. Antony just straight up calls them traitors. Cassius mocks Antony's famous way with words, and then he takes a shot at Octavius, calling him a peevish schoolboy. Yeah, it's pretty clear the time for talking is over. As they part ways, there's just this deep sense of dread hanging in the air. And you can tell it's hitting Cassius the hardest. He confides in a friend that he's seen terrible omens, birds of death circling his army, looking down on them like they're already dead. Now, this is a massive shift for Cassius. Earlier in the play, he was pragmatist. He was the guy who believed that men control their own destinies. But now, he's terrified. He sees these birds as a sign that their cause is totally doomed. And get this, it's his birthday. Talk about a bad omen. This feeling of impending doom leads to this really powerful, really final goodbye. The two friends look at each other and pretty much accept that this might be the last time they ever see each other alive. They part ways, ready to face whatever's coming. All right, the battle begins, and Brutus, he spots what he thinks is a tactical advantage, a weakness in Octavius's army. So he makes a critical, snap decision. He sends an urgent message to Cassius, push forward, now. He's absolutely confident that this one swift move will win them the whole thing. But Brutus's confidence is just tragically misplaced. On another part of the battlefield, the complete opposite is happening. Antony's forces have smashed through Cassius's lines. From where he's standing, Cassius sees his own camp in flames, and he just falls into despair. He thinks it's all over. And what happens next is this tragic domino effect, fueled by the fog of war. It's a cascade of errors. Cassius, totally consumed by what he thinks has happened, makes this irreversible decision, all based on a single, fatal piece of misinformation. And the truth is just crushing. The troops they saw, they weren't enemies at all. They were Brutus's soldiers, and they were celebrating a victory. They surrounded Titinius not to capture him, but to put a victory wreath on his head. The irony is just painful. When Titinius gets back and sees his friend's body, he's heartbroken. He takes the same sword and kills himself. Then Brutus arrives to find them both dead. He mourns Cassius as the last of all the Romans, one of the last men who valued honor so much he would rather die than be captured and shamed. You know, Cassius's death really is the turning point. With his best friend gone and his army defeated, Brutus has to face his own fate. The battle is lost, and he is absolutely determined not to be paraded through the streets of Rome as a prisoner. He tells the few followers he has left that the ghost of Caesar has appeared to him for a second time. For him, that's the final sign. His time is up. He's resigned to it. Now his only concern is preserving his honor. So Brutus goes to his most loyal companions and asks them to help him die. But their devotion to him is just too great. They're horrified. They just can't bring themselves to take part in the death of a man they admire so much. Only Strato, a servant, agrees to help. And you get the sense he understands it's not an act of killing, but a final, solemn duty to his master. He agrees to just hold the sword steady for Brutus. And this is crucial. Brutus runs on his own sword. And his final words? They suggest he feels more peace and certainty in his own death than he ever did in his decision to kill Caesar. It's like a final, poignant admission of his tragic mistake. So the victors, Antony and Octavius, arrive on the scene. And you'd think they'd be celebrating, right? Their enemy is dead. But instead of cheering, they deliver a final judgment that will come to define Brutus's very complicated legacy. Antony makes this powerful and frankly surprising distinction. He says that while all the other conspirators were driven by pure jealousy of Caesar, Brutus alone acted from a genuine, if misguided, belief that he was doing what was best for Rome. This final moment shows the war is truly over. Antony honors his enemy's virtue, and Octavius, the future emperor, shows how politically wise he is. By offering mercy and respect, he starts the process of healing Rome, consolidating his own power and signaling the dawn of a new era. Which leaves us with the play's ultimate, lingering question. Antony called Brutus the noblest Roman of them all. But was he a principled hero whose good intentions led to a fatal mistake? Or was his idealism a tragic flaw from the very beginning, one that plunged Rome into chaos? Ultimately, that's for you to